So I am very pumped to do this video, and I am pumped because the final two pieces that I needed for a project that I've been working on for 2 months have finally shown up. One of them was en route from Canada for about 3 weeks and finally showed up. So I'm excited. And I will tell you that this project that I've been working on represents, I think, some of the best money that I've ever spent on a comic. And I've spent about $2,000 over the last 2 months to do this project. And I'm excited. I really am. And I'm going to explain to you why in a few seconds. Regie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. In this video, we are going to take some time to talk about my project, the project that I've been alluding to over the last couple of weeks. And in some cases, I've hinted at the fact that it is related to Miles Morales, and indeed it is. If you are watching this video right now and you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I want to encourage you to do so. That way you don't miss out on any of the content that I release on a weekly basis. Now, with that said, why did I pick up some Miles Morales comics? I picked them up for several reasons. This character is incredibly hot. Over the last 18 or so months, this character's first appearance has gone from being a $90 book at a 9.8 to selling in excess of $3,000. But that's only part of the story, right? I believe, and I've alluded to this before, that Marvel is investing heavily into the next generation of characters for younger readers. And one of those characters is Miles Morales. I think there's a deal right now between Marvel and Scholastics where they're actually going to be pushing Miles Morales graphic novels and comics into schools. And you talk about a monopoly, Scholastic is a monopoly. What is it? Dog Man has sold 8 million copies or something like that. Most adults have never even heard of it, but children have. And again, Marvel is investing heavily into this character. The other thing is that I think that this character may resonate with my children. And that is a big part of why I've decided to spend some good money tracking down a full run of the 4th ongoing series featuring Miles Morales. And so in this video, I basically want to show you all those books that I've picked up. We're first going to look at the raw books, and then we're going to look at the graded books next. And the very first book, we're actually going to count up with the raw books. This is issue number 2 right here. And again, this is a series that I decided to actually read. And I will tell you, it is a good series. This is issue number 3 right there. That was issue number 2 if I misspoke. Issue number 3 right here featuring Cap. So Cap is back, I think, in some of the later issues, but he first appeared in Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 3. Here is issue number 4. And by and large, I picked up all of the cover A's. There are a few instances where I've picked up some cover B, cover C kind of thing. And we're going to skip a little bit because the books that I don't tick off raw are actually slabs. So here is issue number 9. We actually made a big jump from issue number 4 to issue number 9. Here is issue number 10 right there. And one of the things I will tell you is that this character is slightly controversial to no fault of his own. Issue number 11, there are a lot of people out there that do not like this character. Issue number 12, cover A, and they do not like this character because they believe that he is derivative of Spider-Man. He is not an original character. He is a replacement for Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker. Here is issue number 14 right there. And what I will tell you is that people should feel how they feel. But if they have not taken the time to read about a character, then maybe they're missing something, because again, a lot of controversy out there about this character being derivative, not very good, etc., etc. I've read this series and it's actually really good, right? It is well written, well drawn, well inked. The dialogue is actually pretty good. It's not cliched like I thought that it might be and a little forced. It is actually well done. Issue number 15 right there. And again, full run of volume 4 of Miles Morales Spider-Man. Here's issue number 16 right there. That's a cool cover. I need to actually rebag and board all of these because a lot of these were picked up offline. Here's issue number 17. So these are not necessarily my bag and board setups, and certainly I didn't put those massive stickers on there. Here's number 18. This one is one that I'm a little disappointed in because it was a really nice near mint copy. It was sent to me in some flimsy cardboard, and you can see hopefully the effect of that flimsy cardboard. Not very happy about that one, but I will probably upgrade that one. Here's issue number 19 right there. And this is I think it's the start of the Clone, I think it's the Clone Saga or Clone Wars, which is actually really good. It is not the Peter Parker Clone Wars, which people absolutely hated. This one is actually pretty good. Issue number 20 right there. And again, I actually started reading this series in reverse, like with issue 25, 24, 23. And then as I read it backwards and actually enjoyed it, I decided to go back to issue number 1 and read down the way that it should have been read. Issue number 21 right there. I've done that before with other titles because I'm not quite sure if I'm going to like them or not, and then I end up really enjoying them. Here's issue number 22, cover A, and here is an homage, I do believe, to to a Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man cover, I do believe. Here's issue number 23 right there. I believe that there's a couple of different Peter Parker covers like that where he was getting punched in the face. Here's issue number 23. This is actually cover C right here. The last one was cover A. Here is issue 24. So maybe that earlier one was a little bit of a prelude into Clone Saga. So here's issue number 24 right there. Another one. 23, we're a little out of order. All good. Here's a variant of 24 right there. That's I think it's like Man-Thing, Swamp-Thing, one of those things right there. Here's issue number 25. This is a wraparound cover, and the other clones are actually on the back side of this one. It's actually a pretty cool cover, I think. Here's a cool cover. Here is issue number 25. Again, this is a variant right there. I actually dig that cover. And here is issue 26. And then the last raw copy, I should say, is issue number 27. And I have not picked up 28. I think that one's out right now. Have not picked that one up. But again, really cool cover right there. So those are essentially all of the raw books. And now it is time for the graded comics. So one of the big questions that people might be having out there is whether I think that this series is going to be worth money in the future. I think that potentially some books in this run could go up in value, but overall that was not necessarily my rationale for picking this series up. I have a couple of copies of the first appearance of Miles Morales, the second printing as well, so those books I think will hold some value. These books were picked up for a completely different purpose, kind of as I alluded to at the very beginning, is really because I enjoy reading the series and because I think that this character and these characters may actually resonate with my children. So that's the biggest motivating factor for me behind picking these books up. And unlike the raw books, we are actually going to count down in the graded comics. And so we're going to start things off with this book right here. This is another copy of issue number 25. This is that wraparound cover that I showed you a few moments ago. Pick this one up at a 9.8, and on the back you can actually see the other clones. Possibly you can see the other clones. And part of the reason why this run cost me so much money is because I ended up picking up a lot of the more important books. I won't call them keys, but the more important books as slabs, and a lot of them came as 9.8s. Again, because it's a modern book, you kind of want to get the 9.8 if you can. There is, I think, one instance where I did not get a 9.8 because I could not find one, but I still wanted to get a graded copy because it was relatively inexpensive versus raw copy, so I actually did that. But with that said, here is issue number 13. This is I think an homage homage maybe or whatever to Ultimate Spider-Man issue 253. So this is actually a pretty good issue. It's a pretty good issue right there. And one of the things that happens in this title is that we actually see Miles Morales getting the endorsement of Peter Parker. He then starts to fight with a lot of Peter Parker's, allies, and he gets coached. Miles Morales gets coached by a lot of these people. He actually fights against, and in some cases teams up with Peter Parker's enemies as well. So you can see them kind of rooting this character in what it is that is Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And again, I don't think it's derivative. I think it's honestly just really well done in my opinion. Next up, we have Miles Morales issue number 8. This is a really cool cover. I don't know what it is about this cover. The blue tones, this one just really speaks to me. And I don't even think that this is an important book. I just thought it was a really cool book. And so I decided to get this one graded as well. And I picked up the vast majority of these, honestly, offline. I don't think I picked up any of these in store. I think almost all of these came offline. And to the point that I was just making about one that is not a 9.8, it is this one right here. It is issue number 7 right here. And again, I don't think that there's anything special about this book at all, but for the price, grade it 9.4, not a bad way to go versus trying to buy a raw copy for, in my opinion, a little bit too much. So cool book right there. The next two, and I actually have 2 copies of these are actually some first appearance books. So this is the first appearance of Starling, and Starling is like a teammate, if you will, a young superhero that teams up with Miles Morales at one point. So this is issue number 6 right there. And this book was actually not all that easy to find and not all that inexpensive, to be honest. I actually picked up 2 copies of that one. So we're going to stack those off to the side. This next one is pretty cool cover, and also an interesting issue where there's some tombstone action in this one. So this is Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 5, also again a 9.8 with this one. Set that one off to the side. I kind of like that yellow cover. So this is where we get into the single number, right? So issue number 1, and I actually went relatively heavy on issue number 1, and you'll see what I mean here in a second. This is the regular cover A, Miles Morales issue number 1. I actually picked up 2 copies of the regular cover right there. No raw copies, just 2 graded copies, both 9.8. I also picked up the second printing of issue number 1, and I definitely dig this cover. This is a really cool cover to this comic, so definitely pleased about that one. That one was a little more difficult to find, to be honest with you, for whatever reason. This one is the 3rd printing, and this is the one that came in from Canada. It took a couple of weeks to make its way here, but the 3rd printing of Spider-Man issue number 1 right there. Cool cover. I mean, not as cool as some of the others, but it is a 3rd print. So cool book to have. And then next up we have, as you probably have already figured out, this is the 4th print right there. Cool rhino cover, and again, just a really cool book. So went relatively heavy on the number 1s. There are a couple more that are sort of looming out there that I may end up snagging at one point, but one of my favorite is the Adi Granoff variant cover. And again, issue number 1, this is just a cool cover. Miles Morales on a white background. It is a striking cover. So I went ahead and picked this one up. And like I said, there's a few more out there lurking that I may end up picking up, but fingers crossed, my children will grow up to appreciate comics and maybe even appreciate Miles Morales. And until they do, I'll go ahead and hang on to these comics. But one of the big things I encourage people to do is to take some time to read some of these characters that are out there that people, kind of poo-poo and dismiss, maybe because they're derivative, maybe because they're not all that original, maybe because people just, for whatever reason, don't like the character. make up your own mind. Take some time to read some of these books and then decide whether you think that they're cool or not, because that is essentially what I did. And lo and behold, I've actually added Miles Morales to my pull list now, and I'm actually pulling it on a regular basis because I enjoy it that much. With that said, I'm going to wrap this video up. If you guys enjoyed this video, I want to encourage you to go ahead and hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment behind so we can mix it up in the comment section. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.